Hi, welcome to Flipick online courses. This is Rajesh Sharma. In this video, we are going to understand air masses and their horizontal and vertical distribution. In front of you, image is given is a image shifted in a 4 different layers of Earth. Let's try and understand. This is 0 degree equatorial low pressure belt. 0 degree latitude. It's known as equatorial pressure belt. As we go up, it's a 30-degree north subtropical high pressure belt. As we go more up, it's a 60-degree north subpolar low pressure belt. And it's a 90-degree here, which is polar high pressure belt. As you go southward, same 30-degree, 60-degree and 90-degree. The belts are same: subtropical low pressure belt, subpolar low pressure belt and polar high pressure belt. Now, how the wind travels? Always remember one thumb rule, that atmospheric pressure decreases with increasing altitude and air pressure changes seasonally. Wind travels from high pressure to low pressure. So if you see here, in a northern hemisphere from 0-degree equatorial northward, the wind travels from high pressure to low pressure belt. That means from subtropical high pressure belt to equatorial low pressure belt. And in another hemisphere, the wind, when it travels from high pressure to low pressure, it turns eastward. So this is the direction of the wind traveling in a 30 to 0-degree latitude from high pressure to low pressure. The same goes to southern hemisphere, 30-degree to 0-degree equatorial from high pressure to low pressure. The only difference is it turns westwards. These winds, which travels between the 30-degree north and 30-degree south, they are known as trade winds. (30-degree north to 30-degree south). As we go more upward, again remember the thumb rule: high pressure belt to low pressure belt. 30-degree subtropical is a high pressure belt and 60-degree subpolar is a low pressure belt. So the wind travels something like this: high pressure belt to low pressure belt. And the same in a polar high pressure belt and subpolar low pressure belt. So from 90 degree to 60 degree, they travel like this. Subtropical high pressure 30 degree and subpolar low pressure 60 degree. The winds which travels between this 60 to 30 degree, they are known as westerlies. Between 60 degree to 30 degree. Now try and understand some characteristics of these winds. These are polar winds which is coming from North Pole. These are westerlies which is coming from subtropical high pressure belt. They are known as subtropical high. Now try and understand the characteristics of this both winds, polar winds as well as subtropical winds. Subtropical winds are coming from 30 degree, which is a tropical pressure. What should be the characteristics of this kind of winds? First, they will be light in the weight, carrying less moisture, let's talk about the winds which is coming from the North Pole 90 degree. Cold winds. They should be dense and heavy. Now try and understand when these two characteristics are very opposite to each other, high versus dense, heavy versus less moisture. When these two kinds of different characteristics winds meets together at a 60 degree latitude, they create a blunder called cyclone. And if you can guess your world physical map, 60 degree is the area where probably USA west coast is totally situated, and this is the only belt where you can see the maximum numbers of cyclones takes place, which becomes very dangerous in nature. Thank you. And these are the cyclones which creates much more damage to human and capital index. If you see the same impact downstairs, 30 degree to 60 degree and 60 degree to 90 degree, these are also the areas where the cyclones get created, but they don't make much harm. These are 30 degree and 60 degree. These are also the areas where the cyclone get created because of the same wind pattern, but these cyclones don't create any human or capital harm. Now why? If you see this area from 30 degree to 90 degree north, this area in the whole physical map of the world probably acquires the ocean, and this 30 degree to 60 degree north probably comes under the land area. That is why the speed of this 30 degree to 60 degree westerlies are very high than what they are in a 30 degree to 60 degree or 60 degree to 90 degree in another hemisphere. Thank you.